fills me in the air, it shivers cold and thin.
Echoes of the Forgotten Bride. Episode 10, The Love That Binds the Wounds. Some debts are inherited, passed down like heirlooms, carried in blood and bone from one generation to the next. And some loves are so fierce they'll bear any burden, pay any price, accept any wound, to save the ones they cherish. But what happens when the price is too high, when love becomes martyrdom, when sacrifice becomes slow suicide? This is the 10th echo. Dr. Isaac Reed stepped off the ferry onto Cragmore Island with one suitcase and a growing sense of unease. The island was 3 miles off Havens End's coast. Population, 2. An elderly woman named Agatha Thorne and her granddaughter Wren. They'd requested a doctor, someone willing to make house calls. The mainland physicians had all refused. Isaac had taken the job because he was new to Havens End, because he needed the work, because he didn't yet know that some medical cases shouldn't be treated. Some illnesses shouldn't be cured. Some wounds are meant to be carried. The cottage sat on the island's highest point, stone, ancient, covered in salt-weathered shingles and surrounded by wild roses that bloomed impossibly, even in late autumn. Wren met him at the door. She was maybe 25, thin, pale, but with eyes that held decades of exhaustion. She wore long sleeves despite the warmth, gloves, a high collar. "Dr. Reed, thank you for coming. My grandmother is upstairs." "What are her symptoms?" Wren's expression was carefully neutral. "It's easier if you see for yourself." Agatha Thorne lay in a massive bed. She was ancient, 90 at least. Her face was a map of wrinkles, but her eyes were sharp, alert, suspicious. Another doctor, come to gawk at the curiosity, at the cursed woman. "I'm here to help, not to judge." Agatha laughed, a dry, rattling sound. "Help. Everyone wants to help. No one can. Show him Wren." Wren pulled back the blankets, and Isaac froze. Agatha's body was covered in wounds, deep, festering. They wept a clear fluid that smelled of the sea, of brine and rot and something older. The wounds were distributed randomly. Arms, legs, torso, some fresh, some scarred, some somewhere in between. But the wounds weren't the strangest part. They were moving, slowly, shifting position, like they were alive, like they were searching for something. Isaac had seen a lot in his medical career. Infections, cancers, trauma, but nothing like this. "How long has she had these?" Wren's voice was soft. 70 years since she was 20. They never fully heal. They move, they multiply, and they hurt, constantly. "What's the diagnosis? What have other doctors said?" "Everything infection, autoimmune disorder, psychosomatic manifestation. No one knows, nothing works, antibiotics do nothing. Surgery just makes more wounds, they always come back." Isaac examined the wounds carefully, took samples, photographed, documented. The tissue was necrotic, but also alive, a paradox. The wounds shouldn't exist, but they did. "I'll need to run tests, research, but I'll find something. There's always an explanation." Agatha grabbed his wrist. Her grip was surprisingly strong. "This isn't science, boy. This is debt. This is punishment. This is the sea collecting what it's owed." "What do you mean?" She released him. "Ask Wren. She knows the story. She's lived with it. Soon she'll carry it." After examining Agatha, Isaac sat in the cottage's small kitchen. Wren made tea. Her movements were careful, deliberate, like she was always in pain but had learned to hide it. "Your grandmother mentioned debt. What did she mean?" Wren was quiet for a long time. Then she rolled up her sleeves. Isaac's breath caught. Wren's arms were covered in wounds, identical to Agatha's, fresh, some still bleeding. The clear, sea-smelling fluid staining the bandages she carefully unwrapped. "They transfer every few days. Grandmother's wounds heal and appear on me, then mine heal and return to her, back and forth, an endless cycle." That's impossible. Wren smiled. It was a tired smile. So is everything else about this, but it's real. I've been doing this since I was 15, 10 years of carrying half her burden. Why? What caused this? Wren poured tea. Her hands shook slightly. In 1953, my grandmother was young, newly married, living on the mainland. Her husband's fishing boat went down in a storm. He drowned along with 4 other men. I'm sorry, but I don't see how that connects to the wounds. The men were carrying something, salvage from a shipwreck, a chest, silver, jewelry, treasure. They'd found it in deep water and were bringing it back. Grandmother's husband was the captain. It was his find, his score. The forgotten bride's dowry, the chest from the Medusa's tear. Wren nodded. You know the story then. The chest was cursed, taking it doomed them. When the men drowned, the sea came for what was owed, but the treasure was already gone, spent, sold, scattered. So the sea took something else. It took my grandmother's health, her comfort, her life. The wounds appeared the day after her husband drowned, and they've never stopped. The entity that claimed the bride that holds this town in its grip, it wants its treasure back, or it wants payment, pain for the theft, suffering for the greed. And you take them from her, voluntarily. What else can I do? She's my grandmother. She raised me after my parents died. I love her. If I can carry some of the pain, ease her burden, how can I not? By letting her carry her own debt. Wren's eyes flashed, anger. The first real emotion Isaac had seen. It's not her debt, it's her husband's. She didn't steal anything. She didn't even know what he was carrying. She's innocent. And she's suffered for 70 years for someone else's crime. Isaac wanted to argue, to say something about justice, about cause and effect, but looking at Wren's exhausted face, at the wounds seeping through her fresh bandages, he couldn't. How does it work, the transfer? Wren stood. Come with me. She led him to a small room at the cottage's back. It was bare except for a basin, filled with seawater, and scattered with dried herbs, sea lavender, samphire, things that grew at the tide line. I sing to the wounds, an old song my grandmother taught me, the song my great-grandmother taught her. It was supposed to be a lullaby, but it became something else, something that calls the pain, that invites it to move. You're performing a ritual, voluntarily accepting a curse. I'm performing an act of love. There's a difference. Wren began to sing. The melody was haunting, old. It sounded like waves, like wind through caves, like the voice of the sea itself. As she sang, she dipped her hands in the water, then pressed them to her grandmother's wounds, the wounds Isaac had just examined. He watched, fascinated, horrified. The wounds on Agatha began to close, slowly, the flesh knitting together, leaving scars but healing. And on Wren, new wounds opened, breaking through skin that had been clear minutes ago. Blood mixed with that clear, sea-smelling fluid. She didn't flinch, didn't cry out, just kept singing until the transfer was complete. When she finished, she was trembling, pale, but Agatha was breathing easier, sleeping peacefully. How often do you do this? Every 3 days, when grandmother's pain becomes too much, I take it, hold it for 3 days, then return it before it kills me, back and forth for 10 years. This is killing you, slowly, you know that. Wren wrapped her arms, covered the new wounds. I know, but what's the alternative? Let her suffer alone. She's 92. She won't live much longer. I can carry this for her, until the end. And after, when she's gone, what happens to the debt? Wren's expression went blank, carefully blank. Then it's just mine, forever, until I die, or until I have a daughter and teach her the song, pass it down, as it's been passed down. Isaac felt sick. This is generational trauma, supernatural exploitation. You're not obligated to carry this. I'm not obligated, I choose it every 3 days. I choose love over freedom, burden over peace. Is that so wrong? It is when it destroys you. Wren met his eyes. What would you choose, Dr. Reed, if someone you loved was suffering, and you could take that suffering onto yourself? Would you? Or would you let them hurt alone because it's not your debt to bear? Isaac had no answer. He left that evening, returned to the mainland. But he couldn't stop thinking about Wren, about her choice, about the wounds she carried. He researched old maritime records, folklore, medical texts, looking for anything that might break the curse, anything that might free Agatha and Wren from this endless cycle. He found mentions, the sea debt, the widow's wounds, different names, same curse, punishment for those who stole from shipwrecks that belonged to the bride, the entity's treasure, her dowry, her claim. The records were consistent. There was no cure, only mitigation, only acceptance, or only one other option: return what was stolen, pay the debt in full. But the treasure was gone, 70 years scattered, impossible to recover. Isaac returned to the island a week later, with supplies, advanced wound care, pain medication, everything modern medicine could offer. Wren accepted it gratefully, but both of them knew it wouldn't help. This wasn't a medical condition. This was punishment, and punishment doesn't respond to antibiotics. He stayed, making excuses, more examinations needed, ongoing monitoring. The truth was simpler. He couldn't leave Wren alone. She fascinated him, her strength, her resignation, the way she bore pain like others bore jewelry, decorative, expected, part of her identity. They talked long conversations about medicine, about the island, about the mainland Wren rarely visited, about Isaac's failed engagement, his move to Haven's End, his desire to help, to fix, to heal. "You can't fix this, you know that, right?" "I can try." Why do you care? You barely know us." Isaac wasn't sure how to answer, because it's wrong, because no one should suffer like this, because when I look at you, I see someone choosing love in a way I never had the courage to choose it. Wren smiled. It was a real smile, warm. For the first time, Isaac saw the person she might have been without the wounds, without the burden, beautiful, young, alive. Something shifted between them. Professional distance became something else, something more dangerous, more real. Isaac started staying on the island, days at first, then weeks, helping with Agatha's care, documenting the wounds, trying experimental treatments that never worked, but mostly just being there with Wren. They fell in love quietly, over shared meals, over evenings watching the sun set into the ocean, over moments when Wren would catch Isaac's hand and hold it, grateful for the contact, for the reminder that she was more than a wound bearer. But the transfer ritual continued. Every 3 days, Wren singing her song, taking Agatha's pain, carrying it, then returning it, the cycle unbroken. Isaac watched each time, and each time it destroyed him a little more. To see the woman he loved voluntarily accepting agony, to see her body break and heal and break again. There has to be another way. Let me carry them. Let me learn the song. Wren shook her head. It doesn't work like that. The debt follows bloodlines. You can't carry what isn't yours. Then stop. Let Agatha carry her own burden. You've done enough. 10 years of sacrifice. You've earned your freedom. And let her die in agony. She's my grandmother. The only family I have left. I can't. You're killing yourself for her. Don't you see that? In another 10 years, you'll be where she is, covered in wounds, waiting for the next generation to save you. Is that the life you want? It's the life I have. I accepted it when I learned the song, when I chose to help. That was before us. Wren, I love you, and I can't watch you destroy yourself. Wren touched his face. I love you too, but this doesn't change, even for love, especially for love. This is what love means to me. Carrying burdens, accepting pain, sacrificing for family. That's not love, that's martyrdom. Maybe there's no difference. 3 months after Isaac arrived, Agatha's condition worsened. The wounds multiplied faster, healed slower. Even with Wren's transfers, the pain was constant, unbearable. She's dying, the debt is accelerating, taking what it's owed before she escapes through death. Wren was exhausted, covered in wounds, barely eating, barely sleeping, just carrying, enduring, loving. Isaac made a decision, a desperate one, a potentially catastrophic one. He went to the mainland, to the historical society, to the museum, searching for any piece of the original treasure, anything from the Medusa's tear, anything that might be returned to satisfy the debt. Mrs. Chen, the librarian, remembered him. Dr. Reed, still researching the island. I need to find something from the shipwreck, the Medusa's tear, any salvage, any jewelry, anything. She studied him. You're trying to pay the sea debt. That's dangerous, foolish. Someone I care about is dying, slowly, carrying a burden that isn't hers. I have to try. Mrs. Chen sighed. There's one piece in our collection, a silver lily brooch, recovered from the wreck site in 1978. We've kept it in storage. No one will display it. Bad luck. Can I see it? You can take it. No one here wants it. But Dr. Reed, returning one piece won't erase 70 years of debt. It might not be enough. It has to be. I'm out of options. He returned to the island with the brooch, found Wren and Agatha in the ritual room. Wren was mid-transfer, singing, taking the newest wounds onto herself. Isaac waited until she finished, then showed them the brooch, silver, tarnished, engraved with the lily symbol that marked everything connected to the bride. I found it, part of the original treasure. We can return it, make an offering, maybe it will be enough. Agatha's eyes widened. No, don't, you'll anger it, make things worse. The sea doesn't negotiate, it takes, that's all it knows. But we have to try. Wren can't keep doing this. She's dying too. The curse is consuming both of you. Wren took the brooch, held it carefully, like it might burn. What do we do? How do we return it? The same way anything is given to the sea. We offer it, we ask for release, we hope for mercy. That night the three of them stood at the island's edge. The tide was high, the moon full, the water black and restless. Wren held the brooch, Isaac held her. Agatha, too weak to stand, sat in a chair they'd carried down, watching, accepting. Wren spoke, not singing now, just speaking to the ocean, to the entity, to the bride. We return what was stolen, this piece of your dowry, your treasure, we acknowledge. You'll edge the theft, the violation, the pain. We ask for release, for mercy, for the debt to be satisfied. Please let us go. She threw the brooch. It arced, glinted in moonlight, disappeared into the dark water. For a moment nothing happened, then the water began to glow, faintly, green-blue, bioluminescent, or something else, something unnatural. A figure formed, made of water and light. The bride, she was young, sad, but not cruel, just tired, so very tired. One piece for 70 years of pain, for a theft that bought comfortable lives, for treasure that enriched families. You think one piece is enough. Her voice was the ocean, deep, cold, inevitable. Wren stepped forward, into the water. It's all we have, please, my grandmother is dying. I've carried this burden for 10 years, I'll carry it for 10 more. 20, however long, but she shouldn't have to anymore. She's innocent. She didn't steal, she didn't even know. The bride tilted her head, but she benefited. She lived on money bought with my dowry, ate food purchased with my silver, built a life on my death. Is that not theft by proxy? Maybe, but punishment by proxy is cruelty. She's paid, in pain, in isolation, in 70 years of suffering. Hasn't that earned release? The bride was silent, considering, then she looked at Isaac. And you, the healer, why do you care? This debt is not yours. Isaac stepped into the water beside Wren, because I love her, and I can't watch her destroy herself for someone else's sin. If someone has to pay, if someone has to carry wounds, let it be me. I offer myself, voluntarily, to take the debt, to free them both. Wren grabbed him. No, Isaac, no, you don't understand what you're offering. I understand perfectly. You taught me. Love means carrying burdens, accepting pain, sacrificing for those you cherish. You've done it for your grandmother. Let me do it for you. The bride's expression shifted, surprised, intrigued. You would take wounds not meant for you, pain not earned, death not deserved, for love. Well, yes. The bride looked between them, at Wren, who'd carried her grandmother's suffering, at Isaac, who'd offered to carry Wren's, at Agatha, who'd borne the original punishment. And then she laughed. It was not a cruel sound, just surprised, perhaps even delighted. 3 generations of love, 3 offers of sacrifice. You have given me something I haven't seen in centuries, true selflessness, true compassion, true love that asks nothing in return. She reached out, touched Wren's wounded arm, then Isaac's chest, then, impossibly, Agatha in her chair on shore. The debt is paid, not because you returned my silver, but because you reminded me what I lost, what was stolen from me, not treasure, but the capacity to love and be loved freely. You have that, all of you, and I will not take it from you. The wounds on Wren's arms began to close, perfectly, leaving no scars. On Agatha, the same, decades of wounds healing in moments, the pain receding like tide. The bride faded, her final words were carried on the wind. Love is not martyrdom, it is not endless suffering. It is choice, joy, sharing burdens, not bearing them alone, remember that. Then she was gone, the water returned to normal. Dark, cold, just water. Wren collapsed, Isaac caught her. They stood in the shallows, holding each other, whole, healed, free. Agatha wept. For the first time in 70 years, she was without pain, truly without pain. Over the next weeks, they adjusted to the absence of wounds, to bodies that didn't hurt, to sleep uninterrupted by agony, to freedom. Agatha chose to stay on the island. It was her home, but now it was sanctuary, not prison. She walked the beaches, swam in the ocean that had punished her, made peace. Wren chose to leave, not fleeing, but exploring, seeing the mainland properly, living a life that had been on hold for a decade. Isaac chose to stay with her, not as her healer, but as her partner. They moved to Haven's End, opened a small practice, treated patients together. But they returned to the island often, to check on Agatha, to remember, to honor what they'd learned. One evening, sitting on the cottage porch, watching sunset, Isaac asked the question he'd been holding. Would you have kept doing it, forever, if the bride hadn't released you? Wren considered, yes, I would have, because that's what love meant to me. Sacrifice, burden, martyrdom, like you said. And now I know better. Love isn't just carrying pain, it's sharing joy, it's letting someone help you, it's accepting that you're worthy of rescue. I spent 10 years believing the only way to love was to suffer. You taught me different. Isaac took her hand, their scars were gone, but the memory remained. The knowledge of what they'd offered, what they'd been willing to pay. Some debts can't be paid, some wounds can't be healed, but love, true love, isn't about martyrdom. It's about witnessing each other's pain, sharing what can be shared, and accepting that some burdens are too heavy for one person alone. The bravest thing we can do is ask for help, is let someone love us enough to say, I will carry this with you, not for you, with you. And when someone offers that gift, the most loving response isn't refusal. It's acceptance, it's trust, it's the recognition that we don't have to suffer alone to prove our love is real. The sea remembers every debt, but it also remembers every act of love, every sacrifice, every moment when we choose each other over despair. And sometimes, just sometimes, that's enough. This has been Echoes of the Forgotten Bride, Episode 10, The Love That Binds the Wounds. Join us next time for Episode 11, The Ghost in the Shell. Until then, remember that love is not martyrdom, and the truest sacrifice is letting someone help you carry what you cannot bear alone.
Shadows in the